in eastern Ukraine. The Ukrainian interior minister and journalists accompanying him forced to run for cover. Their convoy had come under shell fire close to areas controlled by the Russian-backed separatists. Ukraine says these are Russia's attempts to provoke it to strike back and provide a pretext for war, and Boris Johnson agrees. Meeting Western leaders in Munich yesterday, he said the attacks are a sign President Putin's plan for an invasion is already being put into effect. In Munich, in an interview with the BBC's Sophie Rayworth, he warned of what's to come.
I'm afraid to say that the plan that we're seeing is for something that could be really the biggest war in Europe since 1945, just in terms of sheer scale. I think people need to understand the sheer cost in human life that could entail, not just for Ukrainians, but also for Russians and for young Russians.
Ukraine's president told the gathering the time for appeasing Russia was over.
For 8 years, Ukraine has been a shield. For 8 years, Ukraine has been holding back one of the greatest armies in the world, which stands along our borders, not the borders of the European Union.
But should Russia move to destroy Ukraine and its democracy, Boris Johnson gave his strongest warning yet of sanctions to come.
Not just hitting the associates of Vladimir Putin, but also all companies, organizations of strategic importance to Russia. We're going to stop Russian companies raising money on UK markets, and we're even with our American friends going to stop them trading in pounds and dollars. That will hit very, very hard.
So Ukraine waits and watches. Mr. Johnson warned a lightning Russian war might initially overwhelm these defences, but the West, he said, could not tolerate the destruction of a democracy and would, even if it took time, ensure such aggression did not pay off. Damien Grammaticus, BBC News.
Definition of muscle flexing? This. A 100 miles from Ukraine's border, Russia and Belarus are holding joint exercises on an unprecedented scale. NATO says it's the biggest deployment of Russian troops in Belarus since the Cold War. At least 10,000 Russian soldiers within easy reach of Ukraine. But both Moscow and Minsk deny they're threatening anyone.
Our country isn't helping Russia to capture Ukraine, and Russia doesn't want to capture Ukraine. We don't need war in Belarus or in Russia. We've had enough war. We still remember World War II.
Russia insists that these exercises are purely defensive. Ukraine says this is psychological pressure at the very least, and at most, well, there is concern in Kiev and in the West that if there is a full-scale attack on Ukraine, then Russian troops in Belarus could be part of that. America seems to think so.
For months now, Russia has been building up its military forces in and around Ukraine, including in Belarus. They are uncoiling and are now poised to strike.
Meanwhile, in Moscow, you may begin, Vladimir Putin told army chiefs. And they began. The president oversaw drills by Russia's strategic nuclear forces, showing off his country's state-of-the-art missiles. A message, perhaps, to Russia's rivals, and not a subtle one, that for now at least, the Kremlin is in no mood to compromise. Steve Rosenberg, BBC News, Minsk.